Right, I just realised that was there, so I'll hide it under the thing from the YouTube algorithm. First, last, second says Mike, but yeah. Might realise what was under there. I realised just as I started the stream, probably shouldn't have that there for, you know, firearms policy on YouTube. So now it's just a coat hook. But yeah, a bit annoying. I just blew a power supply I got this morning just now because it was one that was, you know, one of those annoying ones that's an American 120 volt one, not meant to run on 230 volts like our power supplies are, like wall sockets. And in general, if you put, I thought I'd buy a step down plug thing for it, but I thought in general that's going to be all right because it's just going to get a bit too hot. You know, you don't want to leave it on for too long, but that instantly blew a fuse. So at some point I have to repair that. It's a bit frustrating, but yeah. So the weird thing now with some of those power supplies is the made in China cheap ones are actually better than the like this is just a second-hand kind of expensive UK or American sort of made one, and yeah, wasn't as good because it was made from American circuits and not you know, decent inputs. I'm sorry to hear that, Spider Cloud Days, but I hope you're doing all right. There's not much going on here. Like I said, I just blew a power supply. Yeah, if you watch my videos, Comrade Slavin, you know I still do gas mask videos. It's just they're not the only thing I do. Yeah, I'm all right, Mr. Slavinator. So hello to everybody. I guess the notification for most people is a bit late going out, but hello to people all around the world, wherever you might be. It could be the transistor. Let's have a look. Yeah, could very well have been actually, because I haven't. Annoyingly, it's got that thing, you know, where they like almost pot the electronics, whatever they call it. So I opened up the back plate, and then they weren't that accessible, and I didn't have time before the stream to start taking them apart and trying to diagnose which bit had gone. But some of you know, like the capacitors, transistors, all those, yeah, looked like they were quite swollen. A power supply, one for what they call cold cathode temp ones, the ones for my Crux tube. So my cheaper Crux tube one that was made in China still works fine. This was like meant to be a much better American one I bought secondhand. Worked this morning when I ran out of my bench transformer, like the max 60 odd volts that can do, and because it's one of those, you know, American 110, 120 volt input ones. So I was waiting for a step down transformer to come, but I thought I'll just plug it in and see how it runs. I imagine it would just get too hot, but no, instantly just blew the thing. Yeah, I think it's most likely a capacitor or transistor, but I said I'll have to try and dismantle it all at some point. And then Anthony says, show a gas mask, please. There you go. All right, Rich. There you go, there's a gas mask. I won't have it on for too long because, you know. Not really, Unknown Storm. You'd have to ask the people who are kind of more into Bundeswehr gear, but... Right, for the people... I'll take this off now because quickly for the people who wanted to see a mask, but... we try and not get too political on here, just because you get people from all around the world and you don't want to annoy people, so, you know. That's the sad thing, is because a lot of people go, oh, can we talk about a war, you know, and not so much about the kit used in it, but... Yeah, it's a strange thing, but as Composite Book says, it's basically the Polish MP5 is a licensed copy of the French mask. It's just made to a better standard. AK-47, it's probably something to do with laser designation outserts, but we don't know. People reckon it could work, Steve, so I think it would. But again, it's kind of like, do you want to bodge it or do you want to do it properly kind of thing. All right, hopefully you enjoy the stream, Sir Jackson. What are those things behind me there, look? Yeah, a lot of sellers think the French ones are MP5s. They just basically don't know any better. Most masks don't have coloured outserts. It's just a couple of masks did, and I think some people 3D print them. Yeah, there's a rapier there. If I can get that out. As I said, it's just sort of sticking in where the frame is, but yeah. It's one of those sort of retro, more military style rapiers, not the kind of, trifoil ones, whatever they call them. But yeah, it's pretty long. That's the thing with a rapier. It's obviously got a lot of length to it, but I suppose that's what the point of a rapier is, isn't it? That it gives you lots and lots of reach. See, it's hard to get the thing even all in frame. But there we go. This is actually a really cheap one. It was probably no, it's actually Southern Swords, I think. So let me see if I can find you this exact one. It's a John Barnett one. And John Barnett swords are not like swords. They're better than wall hangers. I'd say they're like practical wall hangers, if that makes sense. I can't really see what it is, Red Fox, but it doesn't look bad. But yeah, so yeah, the John Barnett type ones are what you'd probably call a practical wall hanger, as in they're built that you could use them, but the weight distribution isn't very good. So let's go on Southern Swords. And see if we can find that particular one. There we go, stop sliding now. So what we want is, let's have a look. I think it's this one. Let's have a look. Who's this one made for? Sorry, it's going to get quite annoying when that's slowly sinking down. It's going to sit on the cardboard box. Right. I'm seeing if this is the particular one I'm looking at. I think this is the one, although this is the blunt version of it, but I think this is the one I've got here. If not, let me look at some others on there. Yeah, there's quite a few different designs on Southern Swords for rapiers. Oh, I think it's this one, isn't it? English swept hilt rapier and scabbard. Ah, yes, it's it, because you can have a dull or sharp edge on it. So it's this one. Hang on. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, it's £95 here, Rich, looking at it. This is definitely the one now. Because I liked it because of the quite gothic looking handguard, which you can see is really good at getting dust in there. But yeah, for £30, it's £125 of the sharp edge on it, like I had. But yeah, anyway, so the John Barnett ones are what you'd probably call a like I say, in a practical wall hanger. They're made from decent spring steel that isn't going to fall apart easily. They're built fairly tough, but they're just a bit too heavy for what they should be. So, they're impractical from that regard, but, Certainly was rave, bro. All right, Eltrix. Is any problem with putting that on cardboard? Is it slowly sort of crushing into it? Ah, cool. Your Bereg arrived, did it, your Nan? It's working fine. That's good to know. Yeah, the Bereg is fine for what it is. It's just a very simple little Geiger counter, isn't it? Not really, Bravo. It was just somebody asked about it. Oh, do you have any swords? Oh, can I see one? Yeah, that's the problem is, again, like we've been saying quite a few times, is there's not an easy way out of this with lockdown and all that. Because if you rush out of lockdown, by rushing out of lockdown, you endanger more people, you risk a second wave, all that. Lockdown too long, people aren't really going to be getting infected, but, your economy is going to get absolutely trashed. Yeah, I'm regrowing it. Gamma ray, like I said before, I didn't mean to cut it off, so. They used to be 20 to 30 pounds over here, Steve. I suppose in US dollars that's not too bad, but it's still more than I'd want to pay for one. Russia and China still use Ghost Mystic Gamer, but by the sound of it, they're phasing away from them. I don't know exactly what's in the practice filter. I mean, the NBC filters work as particle filters as well, obviously, but I don't know if the practice filters even contain anything. That's the thing, because I think some nations just have them as like dummy filters. No, I want to shave it off Toad already, my head hair. But yeah, Phil, post your ID. Let me just double check you did donate, but I'm pretty sure you did. I can do that on here now. Supers. Yeah, you did. You donated $1. So yeah, post your Discord ID. Like most NBC suits, your Nan, the longer you're in it, the less comfy it gets. But if it's been stored well, they're not awful, but they can sort of start like staining your clothes under them. Pagan Flocky, I'm doing all right, thank you. Now, Alex, the most fun thing I did today, unfortunately, was blow something that came in the post only earlier today. It was a sort of power transformer, power supply sort of thing, and put too many volts input into it, bang. But it should be quite easily repairable. It's just one of those annoying cases of taking it all out of its casing to get at the actual, you know. East Germany had better uniforms than West Germany. Yeah, Fleckton I really like, but older Fleckton where it was a lot more like orange and bright green rather than sort of darker colours, or more muted colours. Russian SS Leto camo is pretty good. Okay, John, so it's basically a particle filter, just basically a bigger particle filter then. I think you spam this on every stream, don't you? Okay, I don't think anybody ever replies to you, though, about it. Thank you very much, Connor. He said, hope you're having a good, keep up the good work. You mean a good day? Yeah, I'm all right. Like I said, it was just more at the moment talking about sort of all the really sad stuff to do with doxing and all that. But, you know, other than that, all was good, really. All right, patriotic Brit. But yeah, other than that power supply going, and I said it should be an electronics thing to repair, because it should, for me, just be a job of unsoldering something from it and resoldering something else in. I said it's that weird kind of potted electronics thing. Yeah, Phil House said, Phil, you need to give your ID. And for some reason, Steve's giving his ID, but it wasn't Steve that donated yesterday, it was Phil. So, typical YouTube super chats, eh? I don't really like it, USS Liberty, because people are kind of like, you know, damaging old things in theory if they're taking apart stuff like that. But right, let me add you, Phil. Make sure you read the rules when right, Steve, I'll look through the list for you in a bit, but the problem is a lot of people on here like lie about that just to waste my time or somebody else's to look through it. So I will look for you, but don't be like the guy yesterday who, after me looking for like 5 minutes, goes, oh, I was just joking, didn't really donate. So yeah, once you accept that, Philly Marston, I'll invite you to the server. And then once you're invited onto the server, please read the rules, because a lot of people aren't reading the rules on there at the moment, and then end up getting, you know, warnings, strikes, or whatever, because, you know, one of the main things is don't be a racist prick or whatever to other people on the server. And sadly, a lot of people can't seem to follow that rule, which, you know, always gets quite annoying. But you've not, there we go. Right, invite to server. So yeah, please read the rules first. Well, thank you very much, Pagan Flocky. If you've got a Discord ID, post it. But Yep. Link me something on Discord if you want me to have a look at it. So, Steve, let me have a look, Steve, through all the old super chats. Yeah, you did. Okay. Right, you've posted your ID. Yeah, don't forget, for the people who want to do it in the UK, and I don't know if other countries do a similar thing, it's the clap for the carers thing at 8, because I always forget because I'm losing track of what day of the week it is. You know. Actually, here's the interesting thing, Sneckers. It is sensitive to begin with, just not on its old display. Get the with a CDV 717 or a 715, where the display has the like positive and negative wire on the actual display. Put a multimeter there. Put the multimeter to the lowest like millivolt reading you can do, and you'll see you can actually pretty much pick up background radiation with a 717. Maybe they think you're either Rambo or Taxi Driver, Park, or a military stuff, or the Terminator in the original Terminator. Those olive M65s without the liners in them are pretty iconic. I've still not seen a link yet, Wardrop. Which one are you on about? Because Wardrop's PM'd me, but he said just from looking at it, but I don't know which one he's on about at the moment. No, I don't play visual novels. Oh yeah, it is, but nobody's out to celebrate. Because I do remember a while ago when they were talking about V-Day, and they were all about having all the old people go out for it. You think, oh no, if Corona, that's going to kill them all. And then thankfully they did go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have people gather for it. And you think, oh, thank fuck for that. If I get any more bayonets that I've not got yet, Pagan, I will do. But the issue is, for me at the moment, is there's not that many bayonets that turn up at decent price points. Because I would love for the Schmitz Rubin that's hidden under there, because I was like, oh shit, I'm live streaming, I can't have a gun behind me because of YouTube's policy. I'd love to get an old Schmitz Rubin bayonet, but I think they're pretty like £100 to £200 for a bayonet. Yeah, I'm alright, Henry. I'm glad that helped you, that one kid. That's good if it actually helps you with your school stuff and all that. That's the one on my wall. It's all right. The only issue is that it only goes to 99.99 microsieverts. So hang on a second. So yeah, that's the one. That's So yeah, it will go up till it gets to about 0.2, 0.3 microsieverts, and then stop counting. But yeah, that's the Geiger counter I keep on display on my wall, because it's actually quite a readable display. No, I don't have a gun license. I've got stuff that doesn't require a license. So like the Schmitz Rubin, I can't show you because it's a YouTube live stream, is what's called an antique firearm. It's just basically where it's too old to be classed as a gun anymore. Yeah, that's kind of, they're pretty good if you either put batteries in them and just put them on display somewhere, or you run them off a USB, because the only annoying thing is every time you turn it on, you actually have to press like a confirm button to understand you've read the dialogue, so it doesn't start tracking background. But if say you've got batteries in it, then yeah, you could probably run it, pretty non-stop on the batteries. All right, George. It depends what the person who runs the store has bought in Guardian, but in general, yes, I found they do. Yeah, I don't understand the stuff, Pagan. But if the law says, I can have this rifle because it's this old, then that's one of the old ones, isn't it? But no, I don't have that. I don't have that many US masks just because they're fairly hard to get out of the United States. All right, Rajiv, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing all right. No, they're classed as a Section 5 firearm, AK-47, so you cannot own tasers or pepper spray in the UK as a civilian. There might be some weird exceptions to it, because I know of a lot of those rules. There are sometimes caveats that if you fall into certain things, you can. But no, tasers and pepper spray and things like that are what classed as Section 5 firearms in the UK, so they wouldn't be legal. That's really strange, Pagan, because in the UK, as far as I'm aware, it's the other way around. You can buy the old guns and you can buy really old ammo for them, but you can't legally shoot them unless you're at a range or whatever. And it's the buying new ammunition thing you can't do. No, I looked into them, Patriotic Brit, but again, a lot of them were really expensive, so I never bothered. Right, Marston Preps, I'm deleting your comment. Don't increment yourself. If you've broken the law, never post online that you've broken the law. I think you mean a stun gun, John. That because stun guns are the ones that are like just two electrodes. Wow, electrode, But no, those would be Section 5 as well. Right, because as you know, I've had problems with doxing and trolls at the moment. Anybody that comes on with a bit of a weird name and keeps asking weird questions, I'm just going to get rid of now. Sort of some apologies if you're a normal person, but if you're asking weird questions, that sound like it's trying to get somebody to incriminate themselves, I'm just getting rid of you at this point because I'm not, going to put out with it. George said he has a reproduction GM17 in quite good condition. I bought it for reenacting when I was younger and only wore it once or twice. Now I don't need it. Would you want it? I don't need it. I mean, it'd be a cool thing to have, George, but what would you want for it or whatever? But it would be a cool thing. I'm not going to lie. But what would postage be like as well from the States? Because I know a lot of those things end up just being silly because of postage and all that. I didn't say you were, Pagan. Fuck, he was on about the guy who kept saying really sort of dodgy questions over and over. Yeah, unfortunately, 11HHH30, both Patreon and Super Chat both take a cut. I mean, you can PayPal people donations, but again, I'd need to look into, recording all the tax on it properly, because at least with YouTube and that, it's a lot easier to record tax from that. All right, Jimmy, as long as you don't need to go out, then sort of, yeah, don't, I guess. Yeah, it's definitely a bit fucked up, isn't it, White Wolf? But try and stay as positive as you can. But yeah, obviously know that by staying in or doing the things you're doing, you're helping save lives. I think it's 30% pagan. I think, but you don't really see. Because what they do is, how it would work is they show you what people have donated, like the full amount they've donated. And then on a particular day, when you get your ad revenue, it will show you both the ad revenue and the super chats sort of shoved in together. So it's very hard to actually work out exactly how much has been taken, but I think it's 30%. Which is weirdly why some channels have been demonetized, but they're still allowed super chats because YouTube want the 30% apparently. Oh, that stuff they kept going on about getting over and over again, Rajiv, the aprons from Turkey or whatever it was. Oh, that'd be amazing, George. I mean, you'd have to PM me on Discord. But yeah, that would be really good. But I'm saying I don't mind giving you something towards a postage or whatever. But yeah, I said it's because it's a replica, not a real one. But it would look good, especially because people I get them talking a bit more about World War One masks. But thank you again, 11HHH30. Not really pagan, I'm afraid, because the thing is with the Schmitz Reuben, again, I don't know if ranges near me are even open at the moment because of coronavirus, and it would have to go through all the paperwork to then make it a rifle for shooting. It's much easier, I think, in the UK, from what I understand, to just go to a range and pay to use their guns, which is something I'd certainly like to do at some point, but with all the corona stuff at the moment, none of that stuff's going on, from what I understand. I'd like them to relax it, Patriotic Brit, to the extent where I can go back to volunteering and doing stuff, because at least then I'd feel a bit more active. It's the being stuck at home non-stop that's really annoying me. No, I wouldn't like an original one, George. The reason for that is, and I really do thank you for that, but the reason I don't want an original one is because looking after them, storing them so they don't deteriorate is quite difficult. And as you can see, because there's so much stuff there, that, if I've got a replica, I can find a space for a replica where it's going to be all right. But a lot of the old ones, you have to be very careful. I think it's just cheapness of production cost, BAM Parkour, and everybody else has done it, so let's do it kind of thing. Yeah, I reckon you're right there, Alex. A few people have suggested that, and I think that's what's going on. Them saying, "Oh, we can't," like a bit like they rushed some of the closing pubs down before, didn't they? Before Mothering Sunday, because people are, "Oh, because it's only advisory, I'm taking my mum out for lunch." Fuck the regulations. I've got a VZ58 bayonet pagan. Right, UK laws, pagan, quite a lot of them are about intent and sort of what the cop thinks if he stops you. So, in general, if you're carrying a knife in the UK, it has to be, and bear in mind, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not qualified to give you legal advice. I better point that out now for people watching, A non-locking knife with a blade under 3 inches, like a Swiss Army knife, so one of these, that's UK legal carry, or a similar knife, because it's a non-locking knife, stuff like that. So that's what's properly UK legal. Now, there's lots of stuff. If you've got what that you would be called a reasonable excuse for something, say like you were going out and bushcrafting and you had a bigger knife on you because of that, that's technically legal, but it's still, one of those weird, But yeah, if you're on about the VZ58 bayonet, there we go. I ground this one down a little bit because it was one I had that was a bit chipped and that, because I got it quite cheap. But yeah, that's a VZ58 bayonet. Switchblades are completely illegal, I believe, in the UK now, AK-47, because of the weird spring-assisted bit on them. There's lots and lots of weird bits of our laws where some stuff just randomly is illegal or isn't because politicians thought they sounded scary. No, sadly, I don't, pagan. Although saying that, I did get another bayonet quite recently. I don't think I've even shown on camera yet. And it's one I already had a version of, but I wanted to get another one. So I think I just chucked it in here behind me. Yeah, I did. Right. But speaking of like Warsaw Pact era bayonets, classic AKM bayonet, because I had the East German AK, what was it, bayonet? Even got a little lanyard on this. Yeah, just pull that lanyard out for now, but yeah, because I already had the East German black sort of AK bayonet, and I thought I would kind of like one of the Bakelite style ones. So yeah, there's your classic AKM bayonet with the Bakelite. This one's got quite a good point on it as well, because some of these are quite ground down. Not much of an edge on it, But again, lots of bayonets weren't meant to have an edge because the whole point of them was a thrusting weapon, obviously. But yeah, AK bayonets are always cool. So you got the wire cutter on there as well. If I can get that in properly. Or I've done it the wrong way around. Ah, there we go, yeah. So, wire cutter. That's one of the things I really like with AK bayonets. They're pretty, you know, good for sort of general use type stuff. Yeah, I know, Steve, because I was just showing that, wasn't I? I was saying that I don't know how long ago you posted that comment when I was talking about the bayonet, but yeah. This one's a bit weird because it's got like a rubbery bit here, which I don't really know why that's on there. So I don't think my other AK bayonet has a rubber bit there. Let's see if we can just get that off, because I don't really see the point of having a rubber sort of frog type thing on the bayonet. Should just look like it's going to pull off, I think. But, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so no idea why it's got that rubbery bit on it, but is that the right way in or not? That'll be the right way. Might be because it's slightly oily underneath there, but I don't know. It looks better without that on, I think, because it's more compact. Ah, that would make sense, although I don't think mine was... Yeah, mine's not, obviously, because due to its age, it's not as tight on as it should be. Make more sense if it was that way round, though, to be honest, to me. But yeah, let's put it back on, but the other way round, because that seems more like the problem to me, that it was on backwards. So let's put that on by pulling it down this way. Which is easier said than done because of the little sort of bracket bit there. Yeah, that's more of like an actual O-ring sort of seal now, other than obviously the fact it needs to be up a little bit higher. But again, it's not really all that important, is it? But yeah, anyway. Yeah, AK bayonets are nice because they're still one of like the classic rifle bayonets you can buy for not stupid amounts of money. You know, where no, it doesn't, Lucas. So if you try and put an AK bayonet on the Zastava, it's behind me, it will just fly off because it doesn't have anything to clip onto. That's good looking, George. Is that the German one? That one reminds me, yeah, of the German one. Z17, whatever it's called. You might have said, I can't remember what mask you said it was in the chat, but yeah, it looks good. Yeah, there's ways of staining them, isn't there, George? And like oils you can put on them to actually get them to look more antique. But yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, everything's all right fighting Welsh. We're talking a bit about bayonets just now. It seems silly to get rid of bayonets completely from military use because, like, the thing is, I know a lot of soldiers still carry like a kind of fighting knife, sort of utility knife, but the bayonet's, you know, like a traditional thing, isn't it? That you might as well have it on your rifle because it turns your rifle into a spear. Yeah, Pagan, if you've got a Discord ID, post it because you donated, and then I can invite you to the server. Just make sure you read the rules when you first join the server, just because a lot of people don't, and then we have to warn them over things. Post-lockdown, I really don't know. When all this is over, I would like to go out to a pub and have a drink in a pub. I think that would be a nice thing to do post-lockdown. You know, something you can go out and buy, like, out and about. I mean, there's no way, sadly, Pagan, of really PMing people for YouTube. So just post your Discord ID, and then what I can do is invite you to the server that way. Yeah, they've got a similar bayonet on that to the SA-80 bayonet, I think. Although wasn't it one variant of the SA-80 that had the really weird bayonet where it was like the rifle barrel went through what looked like the handle of the bayonet, so it's kind of a bit of an optical illusion where you think, how can you shoot? The blade would be in the way, but it's kind of, you have to see it from the right angle. Alright, let me add you then, Flocky, the boat builder. When does the next series of Vikings come out? I don't know. Right, doesn't like your name. Let me keep trying to re-add you. There we go. Done. It's Discord being Discord, where you have to sometimes just take a letter out, put the letter back in, and then it works. Get the stuff you want to get, really, is my advice. There's not much I can say, you know. I mean, the Kar 98 is just like the carbine version of the same rifle, isn't it? A bit like how the later Schmitz Rubins were a lot shorter than the one under there. But I don't know if all the bayonet lugs and everything are the same. That's cool, Ian explains. Was that like the type that was just like kind of a plasticky metal type handle and then just a blade? Because the Americans had that sort of design for a while, didn't they? Yeah. The main thing, Pagan, is don't insult other people. Don't be really all that offensive. As much as it looks like a lot of rules, the main thing is just don't be horrible to other people. That's probably the easiest way of not getting in trouble. Oh, that's the French riot armor up there, if he's looking at that stuff. Yeah, the main thing, like Alex says, is the stuff where people, I think, can sometimes push it a bit because they like to post stuff that, you know, it's where does something cross the line from being dark humor, you know, like politically incorrect humor, which obviously I don't mind, to where somebody's kind of making slightly veiled threats but using the excuse of a joke. I think that's the kind of problem, you know, lots of this runs into. And people can argue that either way, so it's easier just to say don't do it in the first place. You know, go somewhere else if you want to post stuff like that. North Pole would be quite cool, Henry. I've been to the North Pole before. Like, not actually the very North Pole, but, you know, the Arctic Circle of the North Pole in Finland and Norway, and that's nice. So, you know, that wouldn't bother me. Especially because, you know, obviously, for those of you that don't know, where there's lots of Finns and Norwegians that live in the North Pole, they have, like, nice, thick buildings with good heating in them, so it's not really a problem. Yeah, that's the thing, Pagan, is, like, the thing is, I know a lot of people aren't doing it to be personal, you know, and again, I'm definitely not a very politically correct person. We've just got that rules because we get people from all over the world come on, you know, and then you get people, you can have lock knives, Marson Preps. There's no rules against lock knives, just knives that don't close, you know. You're just not allowed to go out and about with them without a reason. Yeah, like what Mike says, that's a really good way of, you know, putting it. He said, also, some jokes are suited to a few close friends rather than on a server that has lots of viewers, etc. I think that's a very good way of putting it, you know. There's like, when I'm on the Twitch streams and Mike sometimes, there's not many people on, and we make some really dark, horrible jokes, you know. You know, jokes like killing babies and stuff like that. The problem is if you do that on a bigger server where not as many people know you so well, it becomes much harder to tell when somebody's joking or when somebody's doing it to, you know, be a prick. So, you know, and I was saying, because we have people on, you know, from all around the world, you know, it's that kind of thing. It's the easiest way of explaining it, really, you know, is there's stuff you can find funny, and I'm certainly not one of those people that goes, oh no, a joke might offend somebody, therefore it shouldn't be said. It's just probably keep it to places where everybody's okay with those kind of jokes. You're right, Gretchen. I think on Mike's stream yesterday, we spent a lot of it talking about how much of like real cunts the Nazis were, as in, like the SS and like Joseph Mengele, and then the Soviets on cunt level versus the Nazis, like where did they pan out being worse or better in some ways? That sounds good, Pagan Flocky. But do you do national service still in? Did you say you were Czech? Like in a Czech Republic or Czechia? Do you do national service still? Because I know a lot of countries did that, but we don't in the UK anymore. All right. I'm not going to say who it is, Jesus, but Mike knows who it is. That's Weapon Collector, and Weapon Collector said that person's now deleted all the videos off of his YouTube channel because I guess he's quite scared now, as he should be. But like I said, I'm not going to be vindictive about it. I don't want to do an online hate mob, but it's the sort of thing where you might really need to get a lawyer, Like I said, it's the thing I'm really considering if they carry on bullshit, because that's where, that's where if somebody's doing stuff like that, it's not just a joke, is it? Calling the police on people, threatening to dox and that sort of stuff. There's kind of a level where it's not really trolling anymore, just making stupid accounts and spamming the chat, and just slightly pissing us off, and where it's the point of, trying to get people in trouble because you don't like them. But as we've said, maybe this person's only just realised this, that falsely reporting people to the police is a crime in and of itself, and I don't even need to report them for that. Exactly, T-Ville, and that's why I don't want to jeopardise anything by, doing bad things at my end as well. It's the thing of if you keep contacting the police and essentially trying to dob people in who haven't done anything, somebody doesn't need to actually file a complaint against you. The police can do that themselves at that point. Alex says, "Don't be a criminal." Isn't that a line in one of the burnt face man things? He's a criminal. Does everybody know what Burnt Face Man is in the chat? I imagine they don't. It's one of David Firth's old weird cartoons. Yep. I'll definitely have to say what Hype said. Yeah, I'll read that out. Just to make it clear, it isn't Duke Nougat 3D or Mulag, or Moulage, however it's pronounced. Those two have deleted their videos because apparently they've been harassed by the same guy, among others too. So there you go. There have been other people that have been harassed by this other person as well. I deleted my Facebook page, Pagan, just because I got so much spam on it. Like companies trying to send you stuff. So I don't use it anymore. Dirty jokes are okay. As in, if it's just a bit, like a dirty sex joke, nobody minds that really, do they? Because they're not inherently sort of racist and stuff like that, are they? Alex is very happy I got the Burnt Face Man reference. Yeah, I like Burnt Face Man. My favourite one's probably Jerry Jackson out of all the things David Firth did. Pagan says, a local joke, can you pronounce R with a strange hyphen over it? I've obviously not pronounced it right, have I? Because it's a bit like probably umlauts in German, isn't it? Where it alters the sound of a letter. I just find it interesting, Ian explains. No, I've never gone, oh no, the gas masks have a life of their own, they're looking at me. But yeah, Jerry Jackson is my favourite David Firth thing. There's sometimes random things where I always want to read it out in my head in the Jerry Jackson voice. What's my favourite Jerry Jackson episode? I like the last one he ever did with Jerry Jackson, although I wish he would do more. About his friend's serial killer, that one. He likes to listen to Queen before he goes out and murders people, and he likes to listen to Queen after he murders people. He says it is like a cushion at both ends. Jerry Jackson's great, but it's one of those things that I've showed it to a lot of people and they just don't get it. They're like, this is shit. But I'll have to post Jerry Jackson in the Discord for the people who've never seen it. A lot of you will probably know Salad Fingers. That's like David Firth's more famous thing, but he's done quite a few other weird cartoons, and Jerry Jackson's about like some weird abused kid. that talks a really bad grammar, and everything is sort of said like this, and then it keeps changing, and it's like hello, it's. I like rusty spoons, the Fighting Welsh. Doom Toaster says, can you Irish wristwatch? Well, this one's Japanese, I think, technically. Hubert Cumberdale, back from the war. Yeah, so there's Salad Fingers, there's Burnt Face Man, there's Jerry Jackson. What are some of the other famous David Fur things? Because I know he's done more stuff than that. I know a lot of them are just like one-off or like one or two little episodes of things, aren't they? The feeling of rust against my salad fingers is almost orgasmic. The thing that makes a lot of David Fur stuff funny as well is obviously everybody always has northern accents during them, which is kind of the, sort of the joke. But I don't know if like Americans would get that. I've chatted with him quite a bit, Jesus. Like, he has a much more serious channel regarding, like, collection stuff like that. And, like, there was quite a big period where people that were fans of me would give him a hard time, and some of his fans would give me a hard time. We all said, that needs to stop. And what we found out recently is one of the trolls harassing me was also harassing him. So it was like one of the same cunts doing it to both people to try and point the blame at other people, which really doesn't surprise me in all honesty, but Well, it is, the northern accents are just David Firth's accent. The point is, it's funny when I think people from outside the UK don't get anger man. Give him a golden shower. Yeah, I want to watch a load of David Firth now. You've put me in the mood to watch loads and loads of David Firth shit. Right, before I forget, I'm going to post in the general on Discord David Firth. He's got a YouTube thing, but I don't know if all his videos are on his YouTube. Because they used to be like little Newgrounds Flash animations, I think. There's a Jerry Jackson religion one. Is that new? Has he made a new Jerry Jackson thing? Because there's a Jerry Jackson 2019 trailer as well. Amazing. Right, I'm not subscribed, so I'm subscribing and hitting the bell. And then as soon as this stream ends, I need to look at the religion one. Because I might not have seen that. Yeah, it's interesting, Lucas, isn't it? That's the funny thing with the UK. There's accents where they're not all that different, but then you get stuff like Liverpudlian, Mancunian, or however it's pronounced. Like Devon and sort of accents down south. And of course, you've got like Irish, Glaswegian. All the weird variations. That's really interesting, Hope. But yeah, like I think the thing is that a lot of people don't really kind of get on this is that we're kind of two very different approaches to gas mask content. And like I said, I don't just do gas mask stuff, but if you wanted to watch really, really well researched stuff, like how Hype put it before, I'm going to read what Botswana said in a second, but but yeah, like Hype said once, like Duke's like Forgotten Weapons, and I'm like another channel, and it's not a channel I'd actually watched, but Right. Bots, I can never pronounce his name, but he's put a video up and it's apparently been raided by the sad group of trolls. So let's give his video some likes, shall we? Yeah, if you have a look, he's put the video up and it's already got 8 dislikes from, So there you go. Everybody go and in a minute watch his video and give it a like because I'm sure that will upset the angry police calling, everything else. Yeah, Ian Explains says it's weird to realise that to other people, you are the one with an accent. It's a weird realisation if you spent life thinking about other people as having an accent. The strange thing for me as well is where I am from in the UK, everything's quite a boring accent in a sense. I don't know what it sounds to like people not from where I am, but it's like people who keep having a go at me because I don't say free properly, right? Because it's where I am, you don't really roll the R's. It's like not something people do here. So, you know, it's not because I suppose if I tried to pronounce it properly, it'd be free, wouldn't it? Free, yeah, because you sort of roll the R. But people around here never do, you know. So it's when people always like, oh, you can't even speak English because you didn't pronounce that word. It's just the regional accent here is that the R's aren't very pronounced. Yeah, cool, Pagan. I'll have a look in a second. Haku Nawaz says, "Lo, I love my Yorkshire accent." Hello, I'm from Yorkshire. That's not even a very good attempt at one, but yeah, I have to keep checking out TFB TV because I keep going, oh, if I'm being compared to it, I probably ought to actually look what the channel's up about. But yeah, I think there's probably other similar channels you make comparisons to. It's more for me like, cool, let's get some stuff, see if I think it's any good, you know, let's have a little bit of the history behind it and all that, but it never goes to, you know, it probably goes more, you know, sounded Welsh then? Boy, oh, I actually had a really weird nightmare last night to do with Wales, fighting Welsh. It could have been anywhere, you know, but Wales, but it was actually in Wales in the nightmare. That's good, Mike and Lucas. But yeah, so I can remember last night's nightmare, and it was actually quite a good one for the person saying I should write down nightmares. So it was where, I don't know if I'm subbed to bots. Yeah, I'll have to do that. But yeah, it's where basically I was in like a farm sort of house cottage, staying there with several people, and it was, you know, like a downstairs of the cottage and upstairs and like a kind of furnished basement bit of the cottage. So it's probably a bit bigger than the real cottage, but you know, it's like a traditional cottage house somewhere in very rural Wales. And it was just kind of like creepy shit going on. And I think it's probably because remember when we were on Discord, not Discord, Mike, on Twitch, we were saying out there could be a farming simulator game, but what would actually happen is weirder and weirder crop circles and alien stuff, you know, kept happening. Stuff like that. And, you know, I think it was because of that. So it was basically like every day we were staying in this rural house. You know, it was, yeah, I'm subscribing and hitting the bell now, Bops. I'll tell you what I can do as well, because he's on the thing here, and he is a Discord mod as well. There you go. That way I'll recognise you when you post on here. You've got a little gear next to your name. Oh, what was I going to say? I think it was because of that, Mike, because we were talking about a weird farming simulator, that's why it was like in a really rural, middle of nowhere sort of place. There was like weird and weirder paranormal events and like, you know, sort of aliens in the distance sort of events going on. So that's the... Ian says, my friend from New York continues to insist that I pronounce orange wrong. He emphasizes the A. I don't. Or orange? How would you even do that? Because to me, it'd just be orange. But yeah, it was actually quite a good nightmare fighting Welsh. And what I mean by that is it's kind of an interesting one that had enough of a plot to it. Because sometimes you get nightmares that feel horrible when you have them and then you can barely remember them when you wake up. But this was one I thought, oh, they could have made a good film or book about that. You know, people in like, I mean, I'm sure there are films about that, you know, people in a remote house and then there's like paranormal shit or, you know, aliens. I mean, there's evil aliens that set in Wales, isn't there? With a combine harvester. But... Orange. Orange. I got an orange. Is that how they say it? Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've never even thought about. I know like tomato is the common one. It's like tomato is how you'd say it in the UK. I'm trying to think of what some of the other weird words are that's really different between a lot of American and UK pronunciations. I know there's like lever and lever. Route and route are like ones like that. But I think it sometimes depends on the context of how the word's being used as well. What? Pagan says, I'm Czech and can do a lot of voice impersonations, but when I don't force myself to speak proper English, I sound like a drunk Polish Russian talking English. It's kind of funny that there's times when I try and do an accent and then it just doesn't work out like the accent you're trying to do at all. I know there's a funny thing of something like if you say bacon in a Jamaican accent, it sounds like beer can in a posh English accent. Beer can, bacon, or whatever it is. There's something like that. But there's a couple with that where you get the kind of weird crossovers of accents. Well, Czechs are one group of Slavic people, Lucas, in that sort of Central European region. I don't know if they're any drunker than any of the rest of them. It's been interesting, Oi. I think is one way of putting it. Despite all the lockdown boredom, it's been interesting. So you literally were saved by the horrible-looking woman nearly stabbed you in the face, Mike. It's actually been quite interesting, Alex, although in all honesty, talking about accents, it's one of those things that's just a pleasant thing to talk about sometimes. The thing I find interesting of American accents is, I swear, I don't know what bit of Virginia it is, but you know if you ever watch old American Civil War stuff, and the Virginians they always have that sort of accent. The strange thing is that sounds more English to me than lots of what you would consider more, I don't know what the right word is for it, but, like more other bits of America. So it's kind of like the Southern gentleman accent sounds actually more English to me than, I don't know why, than... What the... Like that. I don't even know what that would... I know there's like, when people try and speak English with certain accents, isn't that like where the whole wifu or waifu thing comes from Japan, isn't it? Because they can't pronounce like wife properly. I mean, the one everybody likes to make fun of, but it's not as bad in reality as like the Hollywood stereotype is Germans talking like this. Hello, I am the German. But, it's the von, isn't it, with the Germans? It's like the really harsh sounding V. AK-47 says it's not only Virginia, it's a lot of the southern states. Yeah, that's just a weird thing I've always found when I've ever watched stuff and people are meant to have, like Virginian or southern accents. To me, they sound closer to English. But Virginia was the first sort of settled place, wasn't it, in terms of like tobacco farming by English colonists. So I don't know if that plays into it. But Lucas says, fake German accents piss me right off. And as I work with a German dude here in Arizona, it's nothing like all the fakes. Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. The complete Hollywood ones, which are the ones I like doing, they sound nothing like that in reality, Germans. But that's why I'm just saying I find it sort of funny. If you watch Doctor Strangelove or any of the old war films where there are Germans in them. My favourite one's probably the Gestapo bloke in Where Are Yours There? Who's like, I thought the cathedral was on the other side of the square. You have to kind of have like your mouth been stretched open to try and sound like Hollywood German. Yeah, the saying everything with a Z pisses me off. It sounds almost French saying that though. Oh, Rene. Yeah, I know they did Xavier, but it's still, I find it funny, I don't look at that and think, oh, evil Germans. I just find it funny, We have ways of making you talk. I've only done I did judo when I was younger, and I got the best thing I didn't get very far in terms of bouts, but I did get third in one of the county championship type things, which is all right. I've still got the medal kind of plaque somewhere in one of the cupboards, but then I didn't do stuff for ages, and then obviously before all the corona stuff, now and again I used to like getting bokkens with friends and beating the shit out of each other with bokkens, not sporting properly with them, just both of us just fucking whacking each other just with a bit of head protection on. So we didn't end up, permanently damaging ourselves, but we would get pretty, black and bruised. But that was all fun, black and blue, AK-47 said, "What's your opinion on the Russian accent of food?" I don't think a Russian accent is scary. But I suppose it's because Russians are now like one of the bad guys, according to lots of Western governments, aren't they? So maybe that's why we have to think Russians are bad. Ian says, the way that British people pronounce schedule bothers me to no end. I hear it pronounced schedule, and that bothers me a lot. So what, schedule? Schedule? Spy ships? What, you're saying spaceship? Spy ship, mate? Schedule. Schedule? Lucas says, oh, I don't even know now. Marty says, good morning. I was just pissing by. I'm going to get some Crabtree quotes up before we finish the stream. Crabtree quotes. I played Crabtree in our village production of it. Is there a load of quotes from him? That's what I want. Yeah, so obviously, good morning. I was pissing by the door when I heard two shots. You are holding in your hand a smoking goon. You are clearly the guilty potty. Good morning, Herr Flock and von Schmelhausen. Or Schmelhausen. Hole Hotler. There is obviously no piss for the wicked. Good morning. The resist once have acquired... What's that? Oh, the resistance have acquired a bum. They are going to explode the Whaley Brodge. I was pissing by the door when I heard a shout. My lips are soiled. But yeah, Crabtree's great. Well, was somebody saying, can I link what I was just reading? It was just off this IMDb page for Hello. Cheers, Pagan. Yeah, pissing by the door. Do I actually have my Hello box sitting here? Oh, look, I do, and it's still sealed. I bought this when there was a Black Friday thing on Amazon. Look, you can see there's dust on it. I got this when there was a Black Friday thing on Amazon. It was like a $5 for the entire series of Hello. Yeah, series 1 to 9. You stupid woman. But yeah, I'll have to watch that at some point. It'll give me something to watch. Well, Old English is in Anglo-Saxon, Lucas Reed, because that is fucking weird, Anglo-Saxon. Because, yeah, there's... What's also interesting is some of the older English is where you can read it phonetically, but if you actually are trying to read it properly, it's really hard. Like, if you're just reading it and not thinking about it, it sort of makes sense. But then when you're looking at the words, it's like somebody's kind of dyslexically spout out all the words. If you look below Pagan, there is merch stuff, but it's just one of my friends that does it, and then I split the profits with him. Not really, Rave, bruh. I mean, some masks work better than others with beards, but in general, no. I thought the Navy let people have beards because, like, of how the overpressure systems work on ships, so... I'm trying to think of some other good series like that, Mike. Heidi High was good, and we did Heidi High in our group not that long ago. And I was what's his name? Mr. Partridge? Was it Mr. Partridge? I'm trying to think of the name. It is Mr. Partridge, isn't it? The guy, like the kid's entertainer that like fucking hates children, and like when children get hurt, that's what he finds funny. Yeah, just I didn't know if you saw me drinking from one of the mugs earlier, but you can get them in like different colors and that, because when Bart did all the stuff, he did it like the black outline sort of stuff, so you can have whatever color underneath and it'll work as long as it's a bright color, rather than it being shaded in properly. Yeah, I like Shakespeare though, Connor. Henry III's probably my favourite. Is it Henry III? No, Richard III. Fuck's sake. Don't even know our own kings now. But yeah, Richard III. It's Henry VI, Richard III, isn't it? Or Henry V, I can't remember. But Richard III, I like my horse, a kingdom for a horse, now is the winter of our discontent. Now, okay, that's not okay, is it? I don't see what that has to do with comedy. Faulty Towers is good as well, Tony. See? Okay, or whatever it is. What's your favourite Faulty Towers episode then? I mean, obviously everybody likes the Germans. But the problem is there's a lot of stuff on Faulty Towers I definitely could not say on the stream. Henry says, hello, I'm Henry the 69th. Is this a dogger I see before me? Don't mention the war. I did once, and I think I got away with it. It's called it salad. I think in reality, though, he didn't have those, Richard. Wasn't that, like, basically because Shakespeare was writing for the other side of the family that he was trying to, where you always do, like, propagandize them. Interestingly, though, Richard III, they know from his skeleton, when they found it under that car park, was killed either by a billhook or a halberd, like coming down his head like that, just cleaving it open. Right, the really weird thing of Only Fools and Horses, if any of our Slavic viewers are still on, apparently Only Fools and Horses is really popular in former Yugoslav countries. So much so that you can, supposedly during pictures of the Yugoslav wars, there was murals of like Del Boy and Rodney on fucking like burned out buildings. And it's like such a weird fucking concept. But I don't know if there's any of like my like Serbian or Croatian viewers on, if they can back that up. But apparently this is a thing. But I was trying to read into why this was, and apparently it was some strange thing to do with the communist government thought it would show how bad like English working class people were treated by the authorities or something over here. So it was meant to be, like they were playing it less like it was a comedy and more like a real life thing. That's a shame, Pagan. I try not to hate anybody on here, because then it gets too depressing. But yeah, obviously, I know what happened in a lot of Eastern European countries under Soviet rule was not good. But yeah. Zach says, yes, it is a real thing, as weird as it sounds. But yeah. So from what I understand, from why I read into why this was a thing, it was because they tried to present it as like, this is how people really live in kind of Western countries. But yeah, it's kind of bizarre thinking that British television from like the 70s or whatever was then played in communist countries and they enjoyed it. Rolanda says, I pronounce Shakespeare Shitspeare. Do you? You plonker, says Alex. I'm going to see if I can find a picture of this. Only Fools and Horses. Yugoslavia. Oh, this is actually a recommended search. Good. Yeah, okay, here we go. A mural in Serbia. Right, let me get this up. It's quite charming, but it's still funny. Right, I open the image. Right, I hope this image isn't too long to go in the chat. There we go. Yeah, in 50 minutes time, I believe. But yeah, have a look at that. So apparently, yeah, that's a thing where you have those as murals in former Yugoslav countries, which is kind of interesting. What's that from then, Henry? Yeah, we're not allowed to have humour like that though anymore, Ian explains, because it's considered too offensive or like too racist. What is weird though is when you sometimes watch the stuff they used to do back then, and then you think, fucking hell, they wouldn't get away with that today, would they? I mean, it's kind of a shame, but it's because I mean, some of it like genuinely was racist and not even like taking the piss out of racist kind of people, sort of stuff on some of the old programs. But you watch it and it's just kind of when you go, it's a different time, wasn't it? Right, yeah, sorry, Pagan, let me do that because I completely forgot that you said about that. So, general. That's cool. So you've got, what, like a GP5 over the top of, what's the, it's a Hungarian mask, isn't it, the one you've got underneath? The 75M or whatever it's called. You can mention Father Ted, Marty. I hear you're a racist now, Father. Speaking about dry and deadpan humour, I really need to watch a lot more Leslie Nielsen stuff because I was watching like a documentary on Leslie Nielsen earlier because he actually used to be a serious like proper actor, and then he just got really really popular when he got into comedy thanks to Airplane and like Naked Gun. Um, Look after them, cringy kid, because they're antiques even if they're mass produced antiques. I need to actually watch a load of Father Ted because I've never watched many episodes properly. But there's also the episode, isn't there, where there's like a guy that has like the entire Nazi shrine in his house, like the priest or something. I wanted to read what Bam said. Hang on. Oh, that wasn't really a thing, but I've not watched that 11HH30, but isn't Friday Night Dinner or whatever it's called the thing where Paul Ritter, who's Dyatlov in Chernobyl, is the dad? Which is fucking weird if you watch clips of that. And then, because I'm familiar with him being Dyatlov, and then instead of being like, shut the fuck up and do your job, 3.6, not great, not terrible, it's him going like, oh shit, oh fuck, on that sort of stuff. All right, see you, Richard. Oh, that is the racist episode, is it, Marty? I'll definitely have to watch all of that one because that's where I see lots of pictures from Father Ted get quoted. No, we've got it on Blu-ray or DVD, Rolandus, because my mum bought quite a lot of like Holocaust-related films a while ago. I think it was because when she was doing a load of stuff with different school kids, they were watching a lot of that for history type class. But I haven't actually watched The Boy with Striped Pajamas. I was saying to people in Mike's stream though the other day, if you ever want to watch a really hard-hitting TV series about the Holocaust, watch one called Hitler's Holocaust. I'll get the IMDb up for it because it's one I would definitely recommend for. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, if you want to have faith in humans, because obviously that's the complete opposite of what it does. But if you want to watch something that, cheers, Mike. I definitely will watch all of it. But yeah, that's that TV series there. If you can watch it, they had it on Amazon Prime at one point. Is why I watched it. Like I said, I can watch Fred's any day of the week. And I went to Auschwitz, and that I didn't find that all that emotional actually going to Auschwitz. But I think that was just because we had a tour guide that was more like, oh, this is what happens when people are racist. But it was one of those. It's kind of too morally preachy, but yeah, Downfall's a great film. But yeah, that particular TV series, because it's interview with survivors and like perpetrators. And it's more about, it's not like, oh, you should feel bad because, it's just more of a completely factual, this is how bits of it were done. And I think that's why I found it such a bleak and horrible TV series, because it was pretty much just non-stop, this is what happened here. Oh, I know of that one. It's like to do with mice and rats, isn't it? Ian explains. I've seen pictures from like that graphic novel sort of comic, but I've never read it. But yeah, well, you know how Survivor starts, don't you, Oliver? A Chinese scientist drops a vial that starts a global plague. Oh. I didn't know IBM made M1 carbines, but I've got a DIAC M1 on my wall, and I sadly can't show it in streams anymore because of YouTube policies. I wish I still had my IBM keyboard in front of me, but, you know, my Model M was so old, some of the buckling springs started going in it. Oh, cool, you've got a working M1, have you, made by IBM? That's awesome. But anyway, I'll be off in a minute. I don't know. I've seen pictures of some Indian troops with Soviet and Russian masks on, Beagles, but I'm not sure if they all wear that. It might be the case if they bought certain amounts of supplies from certain countries at various points, but I don't know if they domestically make any masks. There might be somebody in the chat who could tell you that, though. But no, I knew about the seeing all the fractal cat. I know about the Bhopal gas incident because that was like the really famous, horrible one, Bhopal. It's one of the worst industrial disasters in history. But what's this one? Let's look at Ishkak. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that. So, oh, it's a modern thing, is it? Gas leak, at least 13 dead after Vietnam incident. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it, but algae polymers plant in the city. Games people. It's a bit like a Bhopal thing then again. Burning sensation in the eyes, difficulty breathing. Yeah, they actually mention about Bhopal lower in the article because obviously it's the worst disaster. That's cool. Oh, didn't they pronounce it like Scarlet System in the thing? But yeah, I find all that stuff really cool, even if I don't understand all of it. But yeah, the thing I do like with the Soviets is how much of their technology was kind of really retro. Because, you know, like we said before, because it was too expensive to move away from it for them, so they just kind of kept refining it. Pretty much everywhere is starting to recommend it now, Andy. Weirdly, my video tomorrow is all about how most governments have changed their advice, saying masks didn't work, so now masks do work. Against chemicals, Rave Bra, it's not going to hold up very well. Against particles, it'd be fine. Sadly, not really, cringy kid, unless you put custom filters in there. I've not actually watched any of the news today, Marty, weirdly. I've not been at the computer too much today. For Corona, you need a particle filter. I can't tell what your picture is there, but it looks like it might not be something very nice. Oh, where I had the swollen gland. Yeah, that's all gone, Henry. Well, the P3 would work. See, the problem is from your thumbnail, I can't see what your picture is. It looks like it might just be a gory picture. But AX, I don't know, but... But anyway, I'll be finishing the stream now. But yeah, thanks everybody that donated in that, and thanks everybody else for just having a nice chat. And yeah, I'm going to see now about the David Firth stuff because, yeah, amazingly, it seems David Firth is making videos again. So if there is a new Jerry Jackson video, definitely have to watch it because Jerry Jackson is amazing. That's all right then. See ya. All right, see you all then. When I work out where to click end stream. Right, there it is. Right, goodbye.